This is Pet Nation with John Muller.
Hey, welcome to Pet Nation. I'm your host, John Muller. And no, we're not talking about dogs or cats today. We're going to talk about exotic pets. They are really popular. There's so many different kinds. There's so many things to know. So we're going to talk to a wonderful guest who's joining us today. Her name is Dr. Latney, and she is with the Schwarzman Animal Medical Center here in Manhattan. Hi, doctor. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's talk all things exotic pets. How popular are they? What are the good things about saying, hey, you don't have to get a cat or a dog. You can try something else. Share some thoughts.
Absolutely. Exotic pets have been around for a very, very long time. Very grateful to report there's more veterinarians who also know how to see them now. The American Pet Products Association does an annual survey to figure out how many exotic pets are owned in United States households. And we know there's more than 20 million pet birds, more than 12 million households that own small mammals. So think ferrets, rabbits, hamsters, and then 9 million for our reptile friends, believe it or not. And then fish take the cake, over 100 million, depending on marine versus freshwater. So they're out and about, and they can become very, very amazing pet family members, depending on your lifestyle.
Well, let's talk about a parent who wants to maybe start out their child on a journey of pet ownership, and maybe they don't have the time or the commitment for the cat or the dog necessarily, and they want to go down to the local pet shop. What do you recommend? I mean, are there any stay away from this one? It's not a beginner's pet, or this is a good way to start for a young pet owner?
That's a really, really great question. As a kid nerd who was a naturalist, I could tell you that I heavily focused on wildlife. And then what I did was I learned where the animal came from in the environment, which then would let me know if I wanted something that was similar as a pet. So I always tell mom and dad, choose depending on the kid's age. Is it going to be an animal that's an observatory animal, say like a fish or say like an insect, versus something that is going to engage in touch or interaction? And depending on the kid's age, you want to be careful about how you choose. And then once you find which other option works best for you, have the kid learn about where they came from in the natural environment and how it might appease them. I would personally avoid any nocturnal animals for kids. So you kind of want to stay away from things that are hanging out like at night. I obviously love reptiles. Leopard geckos, probably not going to be the best bet for a younger kid because they like to hang out at night. And so you want to make sure also time-wise, the time budgets are matching when your child and your family can interact with that pet.
All right, so let's shoot off some exotic pets, things that come to mind, like fish, turtles, snakes, ferrets, pigs. Keep going. What are other options?
Pigs, parrots, hamsters. Oh, they get such a bad rap. They're super cute. Guinea pigs. Be careful with chinchillas. They're quite long-lived. And that's the other thing that I would caution people. I have a 35-year-old Russian tortoise. She's considered middle-aged. We're going to grow old together. So definitely a different type of relationship as compared to, say, like a cat or a dog that might get into their teens. And so based on your lifestyle and what you're interested in, if you're looking for a lifelong bond, you definitely want to consider some exotic pets because they're long-lived. I have some goldfish that are in their 30s. People forget that hermit crabs can live to 50. Then you have some pets that are a little bit more short-lived. Rats, I would say, hands down, are the most empathetic pets. They're a close runner-up to pigs, which is not for everybody, but a lot of people have pet pigs because they're the fourth smartest animal in the world. They're really engaging and smart.
Well, here in New York City, there are rats everywhere in the subway, and it's funny. So some people, hamsters, of course, rabbits, of course, people, rodents, but the cute ones. But rats, people actually have rats as pets?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I didn't know
they
that.
are amazing. They're you don't want to get right? They're so smart. They've done studies in lab animal to try to compare empathy scores and ability to kind of rank that. And part of the reason why they study them so much in lab animal medicine to mirror us is because they truly mirror us. They enjoy time with you. They enjoy eating with you. They enjoy expressing affection. When you're sad or you're suffering, they can actually feel that, and they demonstrate behaviors that they do. They will try to console you. They are so engaging, but the heartbreak is that they're very short-lived. They live for about 2, if we're lucky, 3.5, 4 years. So I tell people it's an intense emotional connection. They're beautiful animals. They're a little bit different than our subway friends. Yeah. But I tell people, be wary of the attachment you'll get with them. They're some of my favorite mammals.
Wow, I'll never look at the subway rat the same again. They're warm and fuzzy now. I take your word for it. I mean that sincerely. Let's talk about veterinary care. You're the expert on this. You live in small town America. Maybe you're not in a big city, or maybe you're in a big city. How hard is it to get vet care for that pet snake or that pet turtle or a ferret or a pig? I mean, is this something you can go down to every local vet and they can help you? I would imagine it's not that easy.
You know what? That's an excellent question. It's becoming more easy. I'm grateful to say. So, vet medicine is finally starting to keep up with the times. There is still a small disparity between the number of veterinarians that are equipped to see cats and dogs versus ones that are able to see other species. But the good news is that there are a number of us that are specialists. And we have organizations where you can literally search pet reptile specialists and put in your zip code, and up comes a list of people within the vicinity who will be able to help you. We try really, really hard to do a lot of outreach. And so sometimes even if the cat and dog vet is close to you, they also have access to maybe a specialist in the trade. So we all talk to each other. It's all one big family. We want to make sure we're doing the best for unique species as well. So pet care has come a long way for unique species.
That's good to hear. We're going to take a quick little break and we'll come right back. Stay with us, folks, on Pet Nation as we talk exotic pets. Welcome back to Pet Nation. We are talking exotic pets. Let's bring in our expert, Dr. Latney. Latoya Latney, and again, the Schwarzman Animal Medical Center here in Manhattan. And we were talking about exotic pets. Let's talk about expense. Let's talk about feeding them, exercise. You know, it's a different can of worms, so to speak, than maybe the dog or the cat. Are they more or less expensive? Are they? Is it harder to find the food? Bring me up to speed.
Absolutely. So what's really unique is exotic pets can sometimes fit very niche lifestyles, right? So like my pet, Russian tortoise, she's from a place in the wild where all she eats is greens. So I can go to Whole Foods in my local grocery store and pretty much do pretty well for her. There's some other things that I can get for her online, which is really easy. But I'm really also excited to bring up the fact that a number of pet stores, and especially large chains, have actually expanded their food offerings for unique species. So getting what they need might be a little bit easier than it would has been in the past. You brought up a really great point about, cage sizes and like enrichment. I tell everybody, every animal, including people, if their brains aren't working and they're not happy, then their bodies suffer, right? So the good news is there are a lot of engaging enrichment things that you can actually make find household items for animals based on how their brains are designed to work. Say my tortoise, they're the original GPS. She likes to play with my dog toys. It turns out they're very strong with visual enrichment because in the wild, they'd have to go to multiple places, memorize different terrains, way better than I can. I can't even go to a subway without my iPhone. And so they've actually looked at studies showing that these guys can actually use iPads to actually navigate mazes. And so I find different forms of visual enrichment really helpful, say for like reptiles. Birds are very much like us. They really enjoy connectivity, communal eating, and a lot of social interaction. So depending on your lifestyle, you'd be surprised at how well prepared you are to set up your home for an exotic pet.
Yeah. And what about like vacation maybe? And what about you work your normal 10-hour day and your commute and you're gone for 10 hours? Are exotic pets, the classic kinds like birds and reptiles and turtles and such, tortoises like you have, are they better at being alone, or do they get lonely like dogs and cats too? And do they need the attention or less so?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I remind people like it's all species one medicine and we're all parts of the animal kingdom, even us human primates, right? So some animals appreciate being solitary, but they do know what their environment is. They know who's in their environment and they know who their family is. And so for certain reptile species, they may not necessarily need to be in your face all day, but I have a 25-year-old gecko who holds me to task. If I am not home by 8 p.m. every day, she's at the front of the cage. And so you know what I have? I have a pet camera so I can check on her. And then it also holds me accountable. I need to go home to my family at a certain period of time. You can always have pet sitters come and visit too. And then the other thing is to set up enrichment for them when you're not there. Again, I have an Alexa for my gecko. She really enjoys watching TV. I've actually had her on cognition talks with my professional organizations. Birds, we found that they actually can recognize birds through iPads and through phone services. So like they have it set up where birds can call birds and talk to each other. So there's very unique ways that you can still afford them connectivity, even if your lifestyle or your work schedule prevents you from being there full time.
Let's talk about one of my favorites. I have this little soft spot for pigs. I kind of someday want to retire and have a pig on my property. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, great choice. They're only the ranked fourth amongst the most cognitive, like the smartest animals on the planet. I find it interesting. A number of people in Manhattan have them. I just tell people to be a little bit careful about housing them outdoors. Know if avian influenza is endemic in your environment, and know your local authorities' jurisdictions if there's any restrictions with that. A lot of people have pet pigs that they keep in the house. Honestly, they're smarter than most cats and dogs. And I can say that having had all of them. We do provide.
Here's a game changer. Do they know where to do their business? Like you don't have to clean up after them.
They
know
do.
How to go out and.
They do.
When the time
they
is right.
do. You can literally set up a litter pan for them, or you can have them have a latrine outdoors. They're intelligent. You know who else does that too? Alpacas.
Really?
Yeah.
Those are like,
and that's a guard. That's llamas, a guard dog for you too. Yes, exactly. They're like little. They're so cute. They enjoy people. They're usually herding animals. They usually also protect your farm. So if you're going to get a farm, please make sure you have an alpaca. You have a pig. What else should
Donkey
you get?
Too.
You should get donkey for sure. I'm guaranteeing you though, the alpaca will protect the donkey, and it's going to protect your entire house. And if you're really slick, you want to get a goose.
Birds are fearsome, aren't they? You always see on the golf course, they'll chase you around. Those Canadian geese. There's something else.
They are straight up gangster.
They are. Let's talk about weasels, like ferrets and such. Is that, they're notorious for ferreting around. Are they a good choice, or are they, are you asking for a lot of headaches with that? What do you think?
I think they're a beautiful choice. If you're a dedicated owner, I do like to flag some things. They do get descented and neutered when they're really, really young before they even come to a pet owner, but they still do have a little bit of an odor. So I tell people, if you don't like that musky smell, that might be a hard no for you. The other thing is they're weasels, and in the wild, they were alpha predators. They don't know what no is. They can't see very well. They can't hear very well, but they can smell very well. They like to, ferret their things around. So you have to be careful of how you set up your home for them. They're notorious for chewing things sometimes they're not supposed to if they're outside of their cages. So we see foreign bodies. You have to be careful about that. Last but not least, unfortunately, they can get cancers when they're young. So we're looking at a life expectancy of 6 to 8 years. We know that there's genetic cancers that they get starting as early as 2. So they can be a little bit of a heartbreak. And I tell people, if you're looking for a pet that is going to get into its teens or is going to be a lifelong pet family member, ferrets are probably not higher on your list, but they do afford so many people goofy love. They're absolutely so engaging and fun to have as pets.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Doctor, you are fantastic. And I want to have you back on the show and devote our one episode to birds, devote an episode to reptiles and all the different kind of exotic pets so we can get really into the nitty gritty with it. But this was a great little overview. I want to thank you for joining us. We definitely have to have you back on. We hope you liked our little ins and outs of exotic pets, a little snapshot of some of the things you might want to consider here on Pet Nation. I'm John Muller. Till next time.